So the moment of your solo is coming up while you're on stage, and you start to feel this sense of fear and anxiety and nervousness, and 100 thoughts go through your mind. How do you handle moments like this? How do you play without fear? Well, let's talk about it. Hey, and welcome to Music Space, where we help working musicians just like you learn how to quickly and easily make a living with your craft. So if you're new here to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded. Okay, look, let's be honest. Stage fright is a very, very real thing. A lot of musicians have dealt with and have experienced the type of moment that I talked about in the intro. And if I'm honest, a lot of us experienced musicians still deal with this type of phenomenon today. Some of us just tend to handle it better than others. I know some musicians who have visceral reactions to situations like this, like their palms start sweating and some of them even start hyperventilating. There's a lot of pressure that we have on stage when we're playing, and some people react to it in this way, and it's understandable. For the vast majority of us musicians, the reactions that we have aren't that severe, but fear and nervousness and anxiety does creep in while we're playing, and it tends to affect the way we play. And we end up leaving the gig with this sense of shame, knowing that we could have done better if we weren't nervous and we didn't feel that anxiety and we were more comfortable playing. And what's worse is we beat ourselves up about this and we never really tend to do anything about it, and we basically keep experiencing it over and over again. So the question becomes, how can you play without fear and nervousness and anxiety? How can you play and feel more comfortable and more confident while you're on stage? Now, right before we get to that answer, if you're getting value out of this video so far, or you get value out of my videos on this channel, do me a quick favor and hit the subscribe button and the like button on this video. Go ahead and do that now. That lets me know that you really appreciate this content, and it lets me know what type of content I should make for you in the future. So the first thing I want you to know is you're not alone in feeling this nervousness and anxiety. Again, as I stated, a lot of us musicians deal with this. It's just that some of us tend to handle it differently or better than others. It's absolutely something that I've dealt with, and I just so happen to have gotten better at dealing with it over time. But what you really need to understand is why you're nervous and why you have this fear. Like, where does this fear and nervousness and anxiety even come from? I'm willing to bet that you have this fear and nervousness and anxiety when you play for the same reasons that most of us musicians have dealt with it. And that is, you are worried about or are concerned with how other people think of you or how other people see you. This is just what it all comes down to. The fact of the matter is, you want to be seen as good or great, and you understand that this moment you're in, that people are around you judging you on whether or not you're good or great. Or are they? Now, I'll come back to this question in a second, but what tends to happen is this sort of catch-22, where we want to be seen as good or great, so we feel that pressure of wanting to do good and wanting to be great and wanting people to see us that way. So the nervousness and the anxiety around that pressure kicks in. And then guess what happens? That anxiety and that nervousness tends to affect the way that we play, thus greatening the chances that we won't do our best and we won't be seen as good or great. You see how that works? So look, this is really simple. I'm going to reveal to you the ultimate secret to never having to deal with this fear and anxiety and nervousness again while you're playing. You ready for this? Hear me when I say this. You have to let go of the need to be seen a certain way and let go of the need to please other people, period. This is something that's so serious, I've done an entire video series on this, on comparing yourself to others and seeking validation from others. And I'll drop a link in the card to that above so you can check that out. But the only way that you're gonna feel more comfortable and more confident in playing is you have to let go of that avatar that's hovering above your head that you've sort of created for yourself. And this is where I'm coming back to that question of, are people really sitting around judging you on how good or great you are? Well, sometimes. But what happens more often than not is we sort of create this big giant of a problem ourselves, and we root it in our insecurities. And then we start to, think that that big giant of a problem is, coming from other people when it's really coming from ourselves. And I don't really want to go too far into that because I dive deep into it in that video series that I mentioned about. So again, check that out. But what I want you to be doing is fostering confidence instead. So some ways that you can do that is use the KISS method, the KISS method, which is keep it simple, stupid. When it's your time to play, or when the spotlight is on you, or when you have a solo, that is not the time to try to puff up and, play and be something that you're not. Keep what you do simple, and it will almost always come across and come out better than if you were trying to puff up and play something or do something that you can't normally do or that you don't normally do just to be seen as good or great. Also, what you want to be doing is consistently practicing at home and making sure that you're getting better and improving. Work on your core skills like scales and rudiments and things like that, and develop new understandings and new uses for these things. You want to be following what's called the 1% rule. And how this works is you strive to only get 1% better each gig or each performance. So from the last time you perform until the time you perform again next, make sure that there's a 1% improvement from those two things. So for example, think of only one concept that you can incorporate that you didn't incorporate last time, a new concept, or maybe something that you simply didn't incorporate and incorporated this new time. That's 1% better. This even goes for things like speed and agility. So if you're a drummer, for example, and you're practicing at home to a metronome of say 90 BPM, and you're doing those licks, speed that BPM up to maybe 93 and then practice at that speed. That's the 1% better that I'm talking about. If you're a singer or bass player, guitar player, keyboard player, whatever, incorporate one new simple lick that you've learned from one week to the other or one gig to the next. That's 1% better. And guess what that means? If you only have, say, 10 more gigs for the rest of this year, that means by the end of the year, you're 10% better than you are right now. And you have to really put that in context and think about how much that is. If you're a 200-pound person and you lose 10% of your weight, that means you've lost 20 pounds. And that's a good amount of weight loss by any calculation. Or on the contrary, if you're 200 pounds and you gain a solid 20 pounds of muscle, that's a solid amount of muscle, and that's a great amount of muscle mass to have on your body at 10%. And again, I just put this in the context of if you have 10 more gigs. You can put this however you want. You can do it from week to week in your practice sessions. Make sure from week to week, your 1% better is, that improvement level from week to week from something that you practice on the week before. And all of these things still go for the practice session. So if it's a lick, if it's a riff, a run, a scale, a rudiment, or whatever, just make sure you're improving it that much, that 1% from week to week or month to month, or however, or whatever long the extended period of time that you want to put into it. But generally speaking, about a week to week basis is pretty substantial. So the thing to get here is you really want to let go of this need to look a certain way in front of other people. Let go of this need to look good or be great or be thought of as great, in terms of other people. Let go of this need to have others validate you, and let go of the need to compare yourself to other people. Instead, focus on improvement and getting better, getting better 1% by 1% over time. And that 1% adds up over time to, a year from now, you're 50, 75% better than you are now. Focus on building self-assuredness and self-confidence, and you'll never have to worry about being nervous, being fearful while you're playing in front of other people. But the question is for you. What is it that makes you nervous and anxious when you play? Is it some of the things that I mentioned, or is it something else? Jump down in the comment section and let me know. I definitely want to have a dialogue with you about that in the comments. And listen, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do hope that it was helpful for you and it gave you some tips and some insight on playing and being better and less fearful and less anxious when you play. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. And here are some other videos that you can check out right now.